How did a young man named Gaius Octavius rise to become Caesar Augustus, the first emperor of Rome, dramatically reshaping the course of history? This is a question that has intrigued historians and enthusiasts alike for centuries. Born into an old and wealthy equestrian branch of the plebeian gens Octavia, Gaius Octavius was destined for greatness from the start. The wheels of fate began to turn in earnest when his maternal great-uncle, the mighty Julius Caesar, was assassinated in 44 BC. In his will, Caesar named Octavius as his adopted son and heir, a move that would thrust the young man into the heart of Roman politics. Inheriting Caesar's name, estate, and the loyalty of his legions, Octavius found himself in a position of immense power and influence. But Rome was a turbulent place, and Octavius knew he could not navigate these treacherous waters alone. So he formed an alliance known as the Second Triumvirate, with two of the most formidable men of the time, Mark Antony and Marcus Lepidus. Together, they set out to avenge Caesar's death and defeat the assassins who had dared to disrupt the balance of power. Their victory at the Battle of Philippi in 42 BC marked a turning point, and the triumvirate divided the Roman Republic among themselves, ruling as de facto dictators. But as is often the case with power, it bred conflict. The triumvirate was torn apart by the competing ambitions of its members. Lepidus was exiled in 36 BC, and Antony, defeated by Octavian at the Battle of Actium in 31 BC, ended his own life, alongside his wife Cleopatra, during Octavian's invasion of Egypt. With the demise of the Second Triumvirate, Octavian stood alone, the undisputed ruler of Rome. But this was just the beginning. He was about to embark on a journey that would transform him from Octavian to Augustus, from a powerful man to an all-powerful emperor. This triumvirate, however, was not destined to last. Its eventual collapse set the stage for Octavian's rise to absolute power. The year was 31 BC, the place, the Battle of Actium. This pivotal event marked the end of one era and the beginning of another. The Battle of Actium was a showdown like no other. On one side, the combined forces of Mark Antony and Cleopatra, the Queen of Egypt. On the other, the formidable Octavian, Julius Caesar's adopted heir. The stakes? Control of Rome itself, and by extension, the known world. The battle unfolded at the mouth of the Ambracian Gulf, in present-day Greece. Antony and Cleopatra's fleet, larger but less maneuverable, faced off against Octavian's smaller and more agile ships. Antony's reliance on the massive galleys of Egypt was to be his undoing. Octavian's general, Agrippa, skillfully used the speed and agility of his vessels to wreak havoc on Antony's formation. The turning point came when Cleopatra, in her royal flagship, fled the battle scene, triggering a chain of retreats. Antony, torn between loyalty to his men and his love for Cleopatra, chose the queen and followed her into the open sea. With their leaders gone, the morale of Antony's forces plummeted, and the battle soon ended in Octavian's favor. In the aftermath, Antony and Cleopatra retreated to Egypt. However, they found no respite there. Octavian pursued them, and within a year, both Antony and Cleopatra were dead, the victims of suicide rather than capture. With their demise, Octavian took control of Egypt, turning it into a Roman province. This was a significant move, for Egypt was the breadbasket of the Mediterranean, and its wealth would play a crucial role in Rome's future prosperity. The Battle of Actium was more than a military victory for Octavian. It was the final step in his consolidation of power. Antony and Cleopatra's deaths eliminated his last major rivals. There was no one left to challenge him. With the demise of Antony and Cleopatra, Octavian stood unchallenged. The Roman Republic was about to be transformed. From the ashes of the Roman Republic, a new form of government was born, with Octavian, now known as Augustus, at its helm. This marked the rise of the first emperor, a man who would shape Rome and its empire for centuries to come. Augustus, born Gaius Octavius, was a master of illusion. He presented a facade of the free republic, yet beneath this surface, he held an iron grip on power. The Senate, the executive magistrates, and the legislative assemblies still functioned, but it was Augustus who held ultimate authority. He was granted lifetime tenure as commander-in-chief, tribune, and censor by the Senate, effectively making him the autocratic ruler of Rome. His chosen title, Princeps Civitatis, or First Citizen, was a clever nod to the Republic, even as he adopted the imperial title of Augustus. Augustus was not content with simply holding power. He sought to reform and improve. His changes to the Roman government, law, and army were profound and long-lasting. He transferred the legions to the frontier, a strategic move that prevented usurpation and secured lasting peace. This shift in military presence also allowed for the establishment of the Praetorian Guard, an elite force tasked with protecting the emperor. The law too was not immune to Augustus's touch. He introduced reforms that promoted family values and moral conduct, shaping the social fabric of Rome. His building program, executed with the help of his trusted friend Agrippa, transformed Rome into a grand imperial capital, a beacon of power and civilization in the ancient world. But perhaps his most significant achievement was laying the foundation for the first of many imperial dynasties, the Julio-Claudian dynasty. This ensured a line of succession, providing stability and continuity to the Roman Empire. Under the rule of Augustus, Rome was not just a city, it was an empire. He had risen from the ashes of the Roman Republic, and in its place, he built an enduring legacy, one that would shape the course of history for centuries to come. Under Augustus, Rome was not just a city, it was an empire. Augustus's reign initiated an era of peace and prosperity known as the Pax Romana. But what is the lasting legacy of Rome's first emperor? The Pax Romana, or Roman peace, was a period of relative tranquility throughout the Mediterranean world that lasted for over 2 centuries. It was a time when the Roman Empire, under the firm hand of Augustus, reached its zenith in terms of territorial expansion. From the sandy fringes of North Africa to the damp wilds of Britannia, the eagle standard of Rome was unfurled with pride. Augustus's reign was not just about territorial conquest, though. He recognized that a powerful empire needed a capital to match. So he embarked on an ambitious building program that transformed Rome from a city of brick to a city of marble. The Augustan age saw the construction of many iconic Roman landmarks, including the Forum of Augustus with its towering Temple of Mars Ultor and the magnificent Mausoleum of Augustus. These architectural marvels were not just monuments to Rome's power and prestige, but also symbols of Augustus's vision of Rome as an imperial capital. He was also instrumental in reforming the Roman government. By transferring the legions to the frontier, he prevented usurpation and secured lasting peace. He established the Praetorian Guard for his protection and reorganized the Roman Senate, ensuring that power was in the hands of those he trusted. His reforms created a strong foundation for the Roman Empire, which would survive for centuries after his death. But perhaps the most enduring legacy of Augustus is the political system he created. He meticulously crafted a form of governance that, on the surface, maintained the trappings of the Roman Republic, but was, in reality, an autocracy. This system, known as the Principate, would be the model for Roman emperors for the next 200 years. Caesar Augustus, born Gaius Octavius, not only shaped the Roman Empire, but his influence reverberates through the annals of history, echoing in the foundations of modern governance.